kingdom matters. And sometimes they ask, where are you coming from? Of course, you have a priestly area where you are coming from, and that is what makes us different. So we are trained into that, and we are also trained into the Vodnek School of Ministry. Why? Because the Bible says that we shall become witnesses. So we cannot witness Christ if we have not understood the basics of ministry. And ministry here is not just the aspect of being called into the fivefold. We also have the marketplace ministry. So in our educational world, we are ministering to people. We are ministering God to people. In the health sector, we are ministering God to people. So that is why we said all Vodnek children go through the school of ministry. Whether you are called to be a pastor, evangelist, apostle, reverend, or whatever, but you go through, because we know that you are supposed to witness God wherever you find yourself. So those are some of the platforms where Vodnek helps to train its members. And of course, we have empowerment. That is what the E stands for. Cater, C stands for the call, T stands for training, E stands for empowerment. When we come to programs like this, we are being empowered. Remember, the intercessor was talking about leadership capacity. Leadership capacity. The church needs to be empowered in order to carry out, or in order to train the leaders that will influence the world. So, when we come to programs like this, we are being empowered. We are being given the ability to go into our world and create changes. That is why when we leave this summit, we don't go back ordinary. We go back with a change of mindset. We go back with something added to our capacity portfolio so that we can be able to create that change. And of course, we also have empowerment in our different meetings that runs across the different branches of Cameroon and in different parts of the world. And then we have the release phase. So we believe that when you have been called or understood your calling, you have been trained, you have been empowered, you will definitely go out now and start creating the necessary change in your field that God has called you. And that is the strategy that Jesus used. He called them in Matthew chapter 5. You will see, and he started training them all through. And then after a point in time, while he was training them, he was also empowering them. And then when he left the earth, he released them into their world. And they said, these are the men that have changed the world and have turned the world upside down. They looked at them and they realized that they were ignorant men, but they took notice of them of one thing. They said, these men, they have been with Jesus. And we believe that by the time we leave this place, whether on this summit or as our time that we go through Vodnek, they will realize that we have been in Vodnek. Why? Because Vodnek has a vision. And what is that vision? We visualize the most global impact-making organization where all its children are leading as what? As stars in their respective field of life. So when you get into that sector and they want to trace your route by virtue of your results, which is one of the things we are also talking about here, they will say that this one is coming from Vodnek. This one belongs to Vodnek. And Vodnek is that pinnacle where stars are being raised to take charge of their different phases. Time will not permit me to say much. There is much to say, but as we go through the program, if you are coming here for your first time, I want to assure you that you are not on the wrong ground. You can partner, you can become a member, and of course, it doesn't take anything for you to become.
Mrs. Ben Matabel and her crew, Vodnek Voice, highly represented, to lead us for a moment of worship.
Hallelujah. Please can we be on our feet as we worship God this hour? I would just like us at this moment to raise our voice and begin to worship the Lord. Appreciate him for life, appreciate him for God, appreciate him for the things he has been doing from the first day to this day. Can we just raise our voice and begin to talk to him, minister to him, appreciate him for that which he has been doing. Appreciate him for making it possible for us to be here, for making it possible for golf to be on running, for making it possible for us to have a platform to receive knowledge, for making it possible for us to be going through the month of December. Can we raise our voice and worship Him? Oh, be lifted above, O Lord our God. We raise our hand and worship you. Oh, be lifted above, O Lord our God. We raise
our crown
and worship.
and worship
Oh, be lifted higher
Oh, be lifted
above.
above, Lord our God.
We raise a crown and
worship you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Tonight we are going to receive the first speaker for Golf Day 2. And it's no other person but Dr. Barrister Eno Martina. Put your hands together. Keep clapping until she takes the mic. Celebrate her for me.
Hallelujah. Amen. We may take our seats. I want to thank the General Overseer of Voice of the New Generation and the organizers of this esteemed summit for the privilege to share the little insight I can on the topic I've been assigned. We are talking about resilience. We are looking at innovation. And we are looking at sustainable leadership results that can outlast generations. And each time I look at myself personally, there is one thing I always ask. If you are not there like our father used to ask us, will the vision in your hand be able to live longer than 2-3 years? If Dr. or Professor Eta is not today in Cameroon or is not here on the stage, will Voice of the New Generation still thrive? In the book of Timothy, Paul gave Timothy a commission. He said, "Son Timothy, the things I have taught you," says, "commit the same to faithful men who will do what? In turn, pass it to the next generation." That is called sustainability. There are many very great visions which died or became just a shadow of what it was when the visionaries left the stage. Our father was sharing here the purpose for golf, and he was highlighting the reasons why leaders have to be trained to build resilience, to think innovation, and to establish a sense of sustainability when it comes to results. Because we are in a drastically changing era. What was very, very epic yesterday, today has almost no relevance. And what is thriving or trending today will be obsolete tomorrow, whether we like it or yes. Or it will be changed or enhanced in a way that if you do not upgrade yourself, you will be in the same place, but you will be irrelevant. Now, those who used to be graphic designers some years back were highly sought for through or through. Today, almost anybody can sit in their rooms, use their phones, and do something by themselves because something is beating the stage and making everybody have access to what was once exceptionally for professionals. Before now, journalism you could not appear on the public or public space to talk or read or give report if you were not a trained mass communication student or professional. But today, everybody sits in their room and creates a TV channel and they are reading news. What will make you different? I say that as at now, the only thing that gives me, a lawyer, the credit from a layman who runs a documentation is my signature, because everybody takes the document you once did, they reproduce it and give you to sign. You're a lawyer, but people do documents and ask you, because the only thing they don't have for now is your signature, is the signature, that's the authority to reproduce or to endorse it. So we are in a very, very competitive era. Not just competition, but it is an era where if you don't take the commitment to improve on yourself and think creative, which is innovation we are talking about, you will be obsolete though you're on the stage. So my assignment is to talk about upskilling and upscaling for sustainable impact or result. Please upskill, as in UP, that's to take up your skill, UPSKILL, upskilling. And the other word is upscaling, that's up the scale. For what? The same purpose of sustainability. I have a limited time, so I'm going to try as much as possible to rush. Daniel chapter 1, verse 3 to 8. I would like to read to us a passage. I will not really explore the passage, but I just want us to see the concept I want to talk about. We are in a kingdom leadership conference. And one of the things that makes us different is that the orientation and focus of whatever we are learning has its roots and foundations in the Word of God. You know, one thing that is very, very eminent in the world is even unbelievers use biblical policies or principles to succeed in their businesses. The difference is they don't quote John 3:16. They don't quote John 3:16. They don't quote Genesis 40 or Genesis 37. But you see the principles that were used by Jesus, used by different leaders in the scriptures, being applied in these industries, and they are making it. But we believers, unfortunately, without mocking the power of prayer, most of what we have relied on to do well is in speaking in tongues. And I ask myself, and one person who is I love knowledge, I love to see things different, I love to create the way things are done, or recreate things, despite the limitations I experience. But there is one thing: what can you do different from the way others are doing it? Because that is the whole sense of innovation. Every year a new iPhone comes out. What changes? From iPhone, every year there is a new version. What is happening? What is adding? Innovation. Some years ago, you have to grind greater everything you have to. But today there are machines innovation. So if you, in your industry, be it in the church, be it in business, whether you are in the civil society space, in politics, in governance, or whatever you are doing, in media and entertainment, if you do not upskill, you will be defunct. Daniel chapter 1, I'll just pick verses. You can, the emphasis is on all of Daniel chapter 1, verse, but I would like to read to us verses 3 to 5. I'm going to read from New Living Translation. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, who was in charge of the palace officials, to bring to the palace some of the young men of Judah's royal family and other noble families who had been brought to Babylon as captives. Children, I want to read verse 4. Permit me read again in verse 3 and 4 in the Message version. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, spake to Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and the king's seed, young men who were healthy and handsome, intelligent and well educated, good prospects for leadership positions in the government, perfect specimens, and indoctrinate them in the Babylonian language and the lore of magic and fortune telling. And the king appointed them daily provisions of the king's meat and of, sorry, my versions are changing. And the king assigned them a daily ration of the best food and wine from his own kitchens. They were to be trained for a 3-year period, and then some of them would be made his advisors in the royal court. Now take note of the people who were chosen. They were not illiterates. They were people who already had potentials. King James says those who were trained in science. They had knowledge and skills in science. But he says, for where they had that, it was able to serve where they are coming from. But for them to effectively serve where they are going to be working or functioning, they need to upskill. They need to upgrade. Babylon was an empire at the time that commanded authority all over in that particular era. So if you are going to be working in the government, you had to stand out. So they had to go through a 3-year period of what? Upskilling. We say in Voneg, you're permitted to come the way you are, but you're not permitted to stay the way you came. Why? Because if you must be a leader to reach out to the globe, you must have a global mindset. You cannot be a local champ. You cannot have a local champion mindset and you want to be a leader at the global stage. There was a period in my life I had too many challenges. People were telling me, oh, you are doing too much as a woman. You have learned this, you have done this. So what are you doing in school again? Blah, blah, blah. And when I met my mentor, I met our father and told him, I have this challenge and it feels like people are making me feel like I've learned too much. And now when I look at myself, I know I still need more. And he said, don't let local people clap you into being a local champion. If you stand on the stage with your mates in different places, you'll be very far behind. Do you know that if you stand with students your age and your class in some institutions, you'll be lost? As a student studying in Cameroon, there are some platforms that they place you with your equals as a postgraduate student, as a degree holder, or as a student in high school. You may not be able to match 1/3 of what they know and what they are doing. Do I need to take us very far? We have TikTok, we have YouTube. We see how children in primary schools are producing things. Most of these machines we are using, hand machines, are produced by primary school children in China and in different places. as their exams, as tests, as whatever they are, because of the trainings they have. But we have people in the university who are doing things they have not produced one. When you look at what people are doing on TikTok in different places, they are showcasing innovation. In Cameroon, we are showcasing twerking. And showcasing what again? Everything. There is a kind of value system that we need to have if we want to touch the globe and if we want to be sustainable. And one of the things this course is supposed to do to you is to challenge you to not get comfortable with what you have attained. No matter what level you are, don't get comfortable. Because tomorrow what you already know will be irrelevant. What does it mean to upskill? If you read verse 17 to 21 of that text we read, you can read through. But verse 17 to 21 talks about when they were tested later, Daniel and his friends were 10 times better. Now, they did not go through the exact when it comes to the physical, when it comes to the aspect of the diet, they didn't follow that for the purpose of their faith. And that goes to you, to those who are pastors or ministers in the church sphere. There is something you can draw from there. There are strategies which will work for others that will not work for you. You just need to know what is your own code when it comes to what God wants you to do. But that's not my focus. They said they were 10 times better. Amongst all of those who were trained, excellence was found in them. And that is why they were placed at the head. It was not grace. We are not despising grace. It was not just favor. The Bible says God gave them wisdom. Why? Because they sat down to learn. And now because there was a collision of learning and divine inspiration, it gave them superiority. Many of us don't want to learn, but we want God to give us favor. We don't want to upgrade, but we want God to put us in the high places. An opportunity may place you there. Will you have the content to sustain you there? Imagine that there is an opening and our Father says they need somebody to work in this particular company now. Send your CV. I find it so puzzling that university students don't know how to write application letters. Graduates, postgraduate students in Cameroon, they don't know how to write application letters. You may be embarrassed, but that's the reality. Not all, we are just saying there are some who don't know. Because we take it for granted. And sometimes our academic system does not also help with certain things. So, anyway, that's not it. But you have to know where you are. For you to upskill, you must first of all know where you are and what is relevant for what you are going to do or achieve in the next couple of years ahead of you. Hello? I'm a lawyer by training. I'm a humanitarian in working, or I'm a humanitarian, call me a civil society activist. I'm a trained lawyer, which my career is helping me in the field I'm working. Right? Now, in Cameroon, you are not trained as a human rights lawyer. You are not trained as a maritime lawyer. You're not trained as a business lawyer. You're trained, you pass the bar as a lawyer. Now, everybody, 4,000 people are lawyers. But do you know those who are making it big in the legal industry? Those who took an extra mile to specialize in maritime law, in human rights law, in corporate law, or whatever they do. Now, there are other lawyers, but they carved a niche which our system did not give us the opportunity to, and they are signing their signatures in those places. What does it mean to upskill? To enhance your skills or capacity. To enhance your skills or capacity. learning new or advanced skills to improve performance in your current job. Enhance capacity, learning new or advanced skills to improve performance in your current job, making you more effective and adaptable. For instance, I started by citing the aspect of graphic designers. So for instance, a graphic designer now who sees everybody can use Canvas and do something. What will stand you out as a graphic designer? As people are having more access, there are also innovations in graphics. Somebody who wants to remain relevant will learn a new animation software in order to enhance their designs. You want to stay relevant, I just quoted as a lawyer, you will pick a niche, craft a niche, and develop yourself, be it in further studies or in taking short courses, and you will stand out in that domain. Upscaling is a concept that has two meanings. It could either mean to reskill yourself. That is to say, you are a lawyer by training, and then you decide to go and study medical. Let me say you are doing, you are a chartered accountant, and you decide to go and train yourself in project management. That is one concept of upscale. You are adding another stream of income or learning to your portfolio. But upscaling in another context, which is what I'm going to be focusing on, is increasing your scope of impact. To increase your scope of impact, your resources, your targets, to deliver bigger, better, and more impactful results. To increase your scope of learning, resources, or targets to deliver bigger, better, and more impactful results. Or you can say it is growing your vision or mission or project for greater output. Now, in visioning, for instance, in Voneg, we've seen a lot of evolution when it comes to the vision of Voneg. Not changes, but evolution. Remember that we see in glimpses, right? When you're doing purpose discovery, when you're the age of 15, as a young girl, God was showing me girls, showing me law, showing me pulpit, and I was finding what is the connection between all of these things. And now I need to take a career in law or do this. What I saw was just talking to girls at the time. But while I am growing in the field of women advocacy and empowerment, if I'm doing anything on gender-based violence, there are constructed curriculums set by the International Order of Work in that space. Before, I would just talk. But now you have to follow structures which have been put in place. So the scope of what you know is increasing. So the way you design your strategies also increases and it shifts. If you have to get the size of the result. Yesterday, what you would do to impact 10 people, you cannot do the same to impact 50. True or false? Yesterday, Voneg was just, we meet in Limbe, we meet in Boya, we meet in Douala. But if we had to reach out to diasporan members from Cameroon, and the diaspora needs to reach to those in Cameroon, we need the media. So you're increasing your scale by elaborating your strategies, by refining your project scope. You can go and say, no, I just want to, like there are many people who start They start things without, like maybe God just lays a burden in your heart, you just start doing. You don't have the fine details. So you thought you wanted to do this thing for 3 years. And before you know it, what you see as time goes is something you should be doing for life. Your scope has increased. Scope has time and span, or time and space. You've shifted from just a 3 years or 5 years vision plan to what? Maybe 20 years or 25 or 50 years plan. And then you begin to shift your mind from Cameroon to London to America. Cameroon laws don't work in the UK. So if you want to work in the UK, you need to know what UK law says about what you are doing. So you're expanding your scope, which also comes with what? Different things you need to adjust to. Am I too high for us? Or am I communicating? My time is winding up. Please, can I know how much time I have left? Thank you. Okay, so sustainability is talking about duration, durability, lasting. You can do something which everybody is so happy about today, but 5 years later, will the impact still be felt in your community? The Bible says there came a time in Israel, the people did not know the Lord. After Joshua, what happened? Leaders came who did not know how to communicate the vision of God to the people. Once upon a time, Israel was feared because of the name of God. So how come there was a people who did not know the Lord? Sustainability. Do we know that today, Turkey, most of the places which are the highest Islamized nations are places where Christianity was highest during Bible days? Do you know, when you look at the epistles of Paul, most of the places where Paul did intensive evangelism and missions are the places which are the height of Islamism today. But now, location-wise, there has been a shift.
Welcome, sir. We are glad to have your amazing presence at the 15th edition of Golf 2025. We wish you an amazing time with us. Welcome.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, thank you very much, and welcome to our guests and to our parents in the Lord. Welcome, Doctor. Okay, while my time is winding out, let me be a bit faster. So, upskilling is about growing your ability, growing your adaptability, working on your relevance quotient in a particular time. So it is competence-based or competence-focused. What can I do today? What do I need to do better tomorrow? While upscaling is about strategy or impact scope. You upscale because you want to reach more people. You want to take Vonek or take your vision from a local community to start going national. We have many visionaries seated here in the entrepreneurial sector, in media, in technology, in governance. How do you move from your local neighborhood impact to to getting national and getting continental and global? The next thing is, what is the quality of what you will be selling? It is detrimental for you to get to a stage where many people are seeing what you're doing, but you don't have the quality that can be respected on that platform. You know why? Because many people just get on the stage today. You can get on the public space from any angle. So why upskill? Why do you need to upskill? As an individual or as an institution? First of all, upskilling as a person boosts your confidence and your performance level. It boosts your, there is a time they'll call you to do a presentation. What is doing you is not that you're shy. It's that you are not confident in the quality of what you want to give to the people. And it's okay to start from there. But as you progress, you can't stay there. So when you upskill, it boosts your performance and your confidence level. The next thing is that you upskill to stay relevant. Remember we said the dynamics and the times are changing. If you are a computer engineer and you don't learn AI in this age, you'll be obsolete in no time. In fact, you're already obsolete because we are already in the AI age. Now, as a leader, everybody in this place, no matter your sector or industry, you are supposed to train your followers or your employees with basic artificial intelligence skills. If you will survive in this time, staying relevant. What does upskilling do? Upskilling helps you to be adaptable. I was attending a workshop, and a journalist made a remark. He said, once upon a time, we were very revered, very respected. As a matter of fact, when I was going to the university, that's one department they don't joke with. If you don't have 12 points and above, you don't go closer to journalism. But today, you don't even need to go into the walls of the university to become or to own a channel, right? So he was expressing the frustration, and he made a simple remark. Now, if you are in that sector, what will keep you relevant, considering that everybody is making their way into the sector? So, your upskilling keeps you relevant amidst the changing times. And you have a competitive advantage as an individual. When they know that when there are job openings, the CV that or the recommendations you have, there are certain things and they'll say, this is an extra or an added advantage. So if you have a skill which others do not have, and you're applying for the same job, you already have an advantage over the other applicants. Okay, and then it helps or meets your personal development goals. Everybody wants to grow, right? So as an institution, it boosts what? Productivity. Employees will work faster and make fewer errors if their skills are improved. It improves your retention. As an employer, one of the things that it should not be noted of you is that you keep losing staff. Whereas people are hungry or they are excited or eager to have jobs, it will not speak well of your company if after every 6 months workers are retiring. So one of the things that upskilling your staff as an institution will do is that it will give you a retention capacity. Because you identify the skill gaps, you equip your members, and then they want to serve you longer. It increases loyalty because the employees see that you have their interest. And then, beautifully, it drives innovation. When you increase or upgrade your skills, you do things in the ways others cannot do. Because you've learned something they do not yet know. So, upscaling will help increase your scope of impact. We already said it will make you move from local to national and to global. It will increase your visibility. It will enhance your brand. And it will also help you to meet more global needs. Today we have, if you can solve problems, there are problems. Now the Sustainable Development Goals have made it possible that if you're addressing something in Cameroon which falls under one of the Sustainable Development Goals, it's an interest not just for Cameroon, it's a global interest. So the world or global leaders may take interest in what you are doing if you have studied the relevance or the needs of these sustainable development goals. You're building capacity and you're delivering quality service in those fields or in that particular sector where you find yourself. What should you address? Or what area should you upskill in? IT skills, as I said earlier. In this era, AI, basic AI skills is a must to do, not only for computer-based or IT-based companies, but for every institution. If you must stay relevant, be you a student, be you a sector, whatever you're doing, you must have basic AI skills. You have to build or upskill in communication. You must upskill in communication. You have also inter and intrapersonal skills, human resource management. There are people who don't know how to manage the good people, the resource potentials that are sent to them because they have a problem with themselves. You need to know your emotional quotient level. You need to know your own level. You need to know what your personal problems are, your mental state and everything. Build you, upgrade in knowing you. Why do I always fail? Why do I always have conflict with people? If you study you, you'll be able to relate better with others. You have to study critical thinking and problem-solving skills. We are crying, all of us today, because of the quantity of trash that is outside. Why people are complaining, I'm working and I'm thinking. And you might want to say, well, I'm not in this sector. But you can think and have an idea and share with somebody in the sector. You can think creatively and you can share your ideas with people who are experienced in the particular sector. That is you're increasing the way you think. That's creative problem solving. Conflict management. As a leader, it is essential for you to know how to manage conflict amongst your staff, manage conflict when it comes to your clients, and all of that. You must upskill when it comes to those areas. It's not every time you say you are fired. You may fire somebody because they misunderstood, not because they were rebellious. There are genuine mistakes as well as there are rebellious people. So you must learn conflict management skills as a leader. Improve in administration, upskill in administration. Don't focus only on the micro aspects of your job or your career or your vision, but you have to go macro. What are the structures or systems that are needed for me to do better? As a lawyer, what should I do for my chambers to stand out amongst others? As an entrepreneur, as a civil society person, what do I need to do? What structures are making others work? If something is not working for you, go to another person where it's working. If you are a business person and your business is always at a particular level, go sit down and talk with somebody who is making it and you can appreciate that they are growing. Those are ways you can be able to upskill yourself. So when we talk about upskilling in administration, in systems, upscaling, now you want to grow, if you want to grow impact, you must grow human capital. There's no way you want to use 5 people to touch or to reach out to 10,000 people when you are using the same 5 people to reach out to 50 and 100. You must identify human capital, retain them, invest in them so that they can be able to deliver the results you want. Understand financial policies and softwares. I'll challenge us, those who are visionaries, if you want to work on strict financial accountability, there are softwares which make financing of data keeping in financing. They sell them. The truth is that most of these things, you need to pay money to get them. Many of us have basic AI, free AI apps, right? But there are certain things you want to use those applications to do. What do they tell you? Go pro. And what they say go pro means you should pay money. But you know what? Most of us never get to that place. I'm rounding up. How many people have any paid software here when it comes to AI? You bought the software. Oh, that's interesting to know. I'll look for you after this. Who? Okay. Those are the things. Many of us just want to do basics, but we want to get excellence. It can't work. You know, when I got this topic, it's just like, okay, this is where I am. Presently, I am on a bench of re-evaluating what I've been doing. I've been working or doing this for a number of years, but when I look at the output, the impact I have on ground compared to what some people are doing, it goes back to the issues of structures. And all of us must take that reflection. All of us must do that analysis. Why is it not working the way it should work? Probably your structures are not in place. Probably you're not paying the money you need to get the experts to do the work. You know, there is one temptation we have. Volunteering is very good. But as much as you should return volunteers, pay experts to do some work for you. But unfortunately, guilty as I'm speaking, most of the times we've worked with volunteers. They have a heart to serve, but they don't have the expertise. So you need to, they learn on the job, which is good because you need them. But while you're having people who are learning on the job, you need to strategize to get experts who will help those who are learning on the job. It will make your results be faster and will give you the quality you need for others to be able to engage with you. I round off with this. Some of the people who upskilled themselves and we saw an increase in their scale of impact in the Bible. In the morning, some of the people were discussed. They had the Steve Jobs. They talked about those who had innovations. Let me talk about those who were close to us in the scriptures. As I round up, thank you, coordinators. Daniel and his friends, there was an institutional compulsion for them to upskill. That one was not even their choice. That is for you as a leader. You discover that there is a skill gap in your leadership or in your members. Put them together, hire experts to train them. We've had many of those trainings in VONEC and we keep having them. This is a conference where people or beneficiaries of VONEC are being upskilled. True? We have David. Now, in Daniel's case, the government was training or upskilling the staff. That was King Nebuchadnezzar, right? Now, David, he was a shepherd. He learned to fight also in the field. But for him to become king, whose one of his main roles in Israel was battles, he had to learn not just how to use a sling. He brought down Goliath with the sling and the shot, but he couldn't do that with the Philistines in the subsequent battles. He had to become an armor bearer, so he learned how the king went for battle. He knew how to manage the armor of the king. When he wanted to fight Goliath, he said, I don't need it. But he couldn't say that when he when he mounted the throne. He needed to know how to use that armory. He upskilled. And of course, he moved from slaying a giant to slaying giants. And there was none who beat his record because of how much he empowered himself. We have Esther. That one, government also forced him. Ahasuerus did what? He had a system for everybody who was going to be a queen to go through training. You don't carry your beard, Joseph. Joseph, you don't leave the prison with your beard and your rough look to go and become a prime minister. You need to shave. You need to tidy. Upskilling goes even to your physical appearance. That's why they had to work even on their diet. You want to be an air hostess? Without discrimination, most people will go for the slim fit. If that's your career goal, you need to be on severe exercises. You want to be a doctor? You have 7 years of general practice. If that's all you want, it's good. But if you want to be a neurosurgeon, if you want to be a gynecologist, if you want to be a pediatrician, you've got some extra work to do. 7 more years for your specialization. It all depends on what you want to achieve. Where do you want to end? Cameroon? The doctor you want to be, is it a native doctor or a medical doctor? Thank you for laughing. So, everybody can upskill. Many pastors get to the pulpit without, because they heard God, they were called. But besides your calling, go get trained. Go to a theological seminary, not one, you can finish. You have a degree, serve for some years, go take a master's in theology, go to divinity. Not to have certificates, but to build capacity. Thank you very much as we learn so that we can expand our impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's one thing I respect so much about this speaker. She's rich in quality, quantity, and content. You can't do better than what you did. Put your hands together. Secondly, I want to say she's that kind of speaker who respects the audience. It reminds me of Professor Ajaganji. He said a good speaker is the one who respects the audience. She kept asking, are you understanding me? That's good. We are so grateful for the knowledge you have passed on to us. And without any much ado about nothing, we keep the train rolling. And so we're going to be inviting to the platform here our brothers and sisters who, by the grace of God, represented this commission all the way over at Doha. I'm sure when they come out, they're going to give us more insights of their experience. And certainly we're going to learn from that. Doha experience. Please, you know yourself, just run to the mic.
Good evening to everyone. You're welcome to this amazing session. My name is Esther Enal, and I'll be the moderator for this particular session. On to my left hand, we have Dr. Aza Martina, who is also a barrister. And we also have Miss Ethel Naomi. And to my right-hand side, we have Dr. Tato Dillis Orok, and we have Mr. Collins Odi. They'll be giving us insight of what the experience was at the World Summit for Social Development. An international event that took place 30 years ago, and that was in 1995. You can imagine how long that was been. And it lastly took place on November 2025. And so we asked them some few questions. It'll be more of an interactive session. We'll be asking, they'll be telling us of what it was like at the World Summit at Doha. And also their experiences they had and the things they learned and what we can pick from it. So I'll throw the question to all of you. What was your experience like at Doha? What is Doha?
all about? Can you give us insight? I'm sure there are people here who are hearing it for their first time, and they're so much excited to know more about it. The floor is open.
Very much, Madam the Moderator. Good evening to everybody. We're so happy to be here to share our experience with us all. Doha is found in Qatar, and that happened to be the host of the Second World Summit for Social Development, who lastly took place in Copenhagen in Denmark in 1995. So after 30 years, national bodies, especially the UN, saw it necessary to gather again in order to evaluate that which was decided upon in Denmark in 1995. In Denmark, heads of states came together and they put up a declaration that was supposed to be implemented by all nations all over the world. So generally, 30 years later, they were gathering to see how far, what is left to be done, where did they fail, and what is the way forward. So initially, this is the reason why the UN had to call this meeting. And during this meeting, we had representatives from all over the world. We had heads of states coming from all over the place. We had these same heads of states giving reports of what have been happening in their nation with respect to what was decided 30 years ago. We were opportune to listen to presentations from the president of Armenia, the president of Rwanda, the president of Congo, and many, many others. So from there, we discovered that some of the developments that we see in some African countries, especially Rwanda, implementations that they got from the Copenhagen declarations, and a country like Rwanda has been effectively implementing the declarations. Summarily, it was found that there is still a distance, there's still a gap as to what still needs to be done in order for that which was decided in 1995 to be fully accomplished. So social development, I think we'll give it to Mama T, who is going to be telling us what it's all about. Thank you.
All right, so social development is the core of society. When you talk about, you know, when you were in school, they talk about basic utilities. You want to talk about water to drink, the food, the basic food production, and you go to sustainable development goals, objectives of hunger, eradication of hunger, gender equality, education, and all of that. So all of those are at the heart of social development. And the Doha Political Declaration, which was adopted at the end of the Qatar Summit, that's the World Social Development Summit, second edition, was relatively based on 3 pillars: eradication of poverty, education, and decent work. And decent work had to extend to integrate, that's inclusive or social integration of all persons without discrimination. So, talking about my experience, I've always known that I'm going to influence policies, not just in Cameroon, but at the level of the international bodies or the globe. UN has been my dream as a human rights lawyer, as somebody who desires to see change in society. And starting from the grassroots where I work or serve the community, there are many things we experience, and being on that platform and hearing heads of state speaking made me to know that I'm not wasting my time while I am talking about gender equality, the right for everybody to give their own quota of knowledge to society. And one of the sessions, because we also had sessions, side events, besides the reports which were given by heads of state, there were sub-events which were going on depending on your area of interest. And of course, I'll go and pick goal 5, gender equality, or I'll pick education. But since you could not be in 2 places at a time, I had to go for the girls. And one of the sessions I attended was on gender equality, and I had a Cameroonian lady, Madam Queen, or Miss Queen. She has done a lot, and she was one of the facilitators of a session. I'm like, oh, I'll be sitting on that chair someday to do those deliberations. And so for me, it was a boost. It was a call to consciousness. And there was one thing I was doing. I was assessing myself. The quality of knowledge they were releasing, have I met that bar? So it had to tell me you have to raise the bar. You have to get to know more. And talking of skilling and what we are learning, one of the things that I'm challenged to do, it's been on my agenda. I just want to finish my the doctorate program I'm doing in UB. I have to do a master's in women and gender studies because my career path or the work I'm doing it cuts across law and gender, but I have a master or from degree, first degree, master's, and now I'm doing a doctorate. It's all in the course of law. So I need to do a gender's degree to have more knowledge, to understand the thematics better. I'm doing short courses. I've done a lot of short courses to integrate. So for me, it helped me to know that I'm not wasting my time. It helped me to know the bigger picture or see the bigger picture of things. And just sitting and seeing presidents and hearing their voice, I'm like, yes, there's something that is...
Wow.
Yeah.
What an amazing experience. That was so much insight from you, Dr. Asa Martina, and to you, Dr. Tatodilis. So on to next, we want to find out how did you spot this opportunity? We'd love to pass the mic to Mrs. Ethel to give us an insight on that.
Good evening, everybody. So I got to know about the Second World Summit for Social Development through my boss, Barrister Martina here. She got to me one day, and the first question was, do you have a passport? And now this is one thing that I've learned from her. Don't allow opportunities to meet you unprepared. You should always be prepared when opportunities come so that you take it by the horn. So she got to me and she was like, do you have a passport? And I was like, no, Mom, I don't. And she said, you have to make one, there's an opportunity. So she made me to understand that there is an accreditation that had been given to the organization, Women Impacting Values for Development, to be represented at the Second World Summit for Development, for Social Development. And she got to know about this through Dr. Zilis here. And that just simply shows how partnership works. Dr. Zilis didn't keep the information to herself. She passed it on to Barrister Martina, and Barrister Martina related it to me as well. And that is why we could go there and represent and come back here to share the information and our insights which we got from that conference which we attended. So she got to me and asked, and through that, she even helped me to do the application per se. She did my application for me. When I did the passport, Favor followed me and it came out just a day before the deadline. And she did the application procedure, and I was actually given the spot to be represented there.
Okay, that's a very important question. Last year, Women Advancing Nation was opportune to get a UN accreditation to attend a land law conference that was to take place in Botswana. This particular opportunity was spotted by our father in the house. He sent a link to me, and I hurriedly applied because the next day was the deadline. There was no time to rally anybody, and for anybody who has ever done a UN application, you understand that it is very, very demanding and intensive. It's not easy. So when we succeeded, unfortunately, that particular conference, we were granted accreditation, but the conference didn't finally hold. It was postponed. So since the name of the organization was already in the system, what happened was that when another conference was coming, they sent us emails. They signaled us about this particular opportunity. So that's how I got to know about the opportunity this year. And when the opportunity came to me, I immediately rallied some organizations, which are born from Vodnek, and inform them about the opportunity. From there, we started looking for ways to apply, which is a very, very rigorous system and all of that. But we could put ourselves through. Yeah, I remember Barrister Martina coming to the house and tired and everything, but we had to do the application. A lot of things are demanded. For example, you may be here, you are a young non-profit or an old one. You want to get into the UN system. You are wondering how you could do it. The first thing is that you must first of all be legalized. The UN does not go with non-legalized organizations. No matter how small whatever you are doing is, you must get a registration because they will ask for your legal authorization that is issued to you by the state where your organization is operating. So they needed that document. They also needed the constitution of the organization, all of which was supposed to be built and submitted. They also wanted to know if you have a staff. You had to write a letter of representation because depending on what type of conference is taking place, it would tell whether for each organization you'll be taking 15 representatives, 2 representatives, or 5 representatives. It depends. So at the end of the day, we created a group where we introduced other organizations from within VONEC. What I'd like to remind us is that most of the UN conferences are not fully funded. They are self-funded. This is to say that many other organizations within VONEC had the opportunity to be accredited, but because of one reason or the other, most especially financially, they could not make it. So I'd like us to give a round of applause for what God is doing in this commission, because though they didn't go, their name is already in the UN system, and this means that VONEC is going global. And this tells us that we grow by lifting others, we share opportunities and everything. I would also like us to give a round of applause for Astrid. She's not here, but she was my backbone. Like you hear Ethel saying that Barrister Martina did her registration for her, Astrid did almost all the registrations for VONEC representatives and even representatives from other organizations. Can we do a round of applause? Even when our letters of approval came forth, she was still the same person. We were working hand in gloves to apply for the visa because we needed to obtain an electronic visa. It was rather unfortunate she could not make it to Qatar. I asked her to be here, but because of one challenge or the other, she cannot make it here. I told her, you were in Doha, you made this happen. We made this happen together. This is just to throw it back to us that we are all a blessing to one another. We don't need to hide opportunities. We don't need to keep it away and all of that. Because of time constraint, we may not be able to say it all, but the visa application was rigorous. Everything about it was rigorous. But with what the conference is teaching us about resilience. It was tough. And especially in a time when the country was facing serious hostility, it felt like we would not travel again. I remember sitting in the room looking at Astrid and telling her, sister, are you sure I will be able to make this trip? She said, you will make this trip. As a matter of fact, you are already in Qatar. And truth be told, we went and we came back safe because we believe it was the appointed time for VONEC, and God took us there and brought us back. So, come again. All of us seated here were representing both VONEC and our own respective organizations. So we were standing in 2 capacities, and it was really an awesome experience. I remember when we sat in that hall, that magnificent hall, hosting presidents, heads of states, I said to myself, this is prophecy fulfillment.
Amen.
This is what our father had always told us, that he saw men battered and shattered in the valley. And then he looked up again, he saw the same men on the mountain, well-dressed, addressing presidents of nations. We were there. And this is just the beginning.
Amen.
Can we put our hands together for what Jesus is doing?
Can we put our hands together for that? Can somebody say partnership? Partnership. We bless God for our Father for always making it
available, always sharing links and opportunity for us to access them. And I want to really, really, really appreciate you guys for pushing in, keeping all your resilience in place to ensure that this particular event was a success. Now we're going to throw the next question to Mr. Odi. We want you to share with us an overall experience of what it was like at the event, more in depth of what was being taught by the different speakers and what really touched you out of the many things that was being said during the conference.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Thank you very much, dear listeners. Once more, good evening. Yes, before I answer your question, there is an appellation that I got back home, which she just said. She called me Doha.
Doha.
So that conference was summarily me. So they just tag the name Doha. When they see me, they call the name Doha. So social development is a branch in which I'm specializing in my doctorate in agricultural economics as a policy analyst. And when we went for Doha 2025, it was a twin mission. The reason I say a twin mission because it was a plus for me with regards to my seminar presentation. That's the first thing. That is my own personal benefit from the conference. Then two, it was for exposure. Just as one of the development economists, Amartya Sen said, the environment is for aesthetic enjoyment and spiritual comfort. So when I got to Doha, I saw the environment. I was very, very timid. I was very, very timid. And behold, learning was easy. In entrepreneurship, if you are being taught by Professor Ernest Mulowa, he will tell you that learning in a clean environment upgrades your IQ. And it was really, really true. It was really, really true. My IQ really upgraded because what I saw there really boosted me and it gave me a leverage to work harder. So just as you said, the question was, what were the things being taught? Apparently, all the solution sessions, as you said, they were panelists and they were roundtable discussion. But all the solution sessions, they were centered towards my field because social development is one aspect of policy, they are twins. So all the solution sessions, they were completely mine. So at some point in time, when I was going to the hall, when I look at the brochure, everything tallies to what I want. So I just go immediately for what is linked to my topic. So, and one of the aspects was one of the solution sessions that was organized by the United Nations for Economic and Social Development Affairs, which was social development cannot be without social inclusion. So that session was really very important because it is a whole summary of the entire conference since it's under social development. And under there, they spoke some major areas which get across the objective and the roundtable discussions, which were for Doha 2025. So one of the areas that they touched under that, there was innovative social protection. We had education and workforce. We have public-private partnership for development. And lastly, we had social dialogue and participatory governance. So all these 4 sub-areas, they were included as the objective. And the main roundtable discussion for the conference was to strengthen 3 pillars of social development, which is eradication of poverty, full and productive employment, decent work for all, and the last one was social inclusion. And the benefit which conclusively came from the president of the summit was that no social development with no social inclusion, which means social development cannot be without social inclusion. And what pricked me and my take-home message was that she said social development goes beyond social development goals, it goes beyond skills. It goes into deep concepts which might not really be taught. And she made mention of trust and truth. with transparency. So all these attributes, they are the key concept that pull social development, irrespective of the skill that you acquire. Once trust is missed, therefore the development cannot be whole. So everything under which I gathered there as a lesson was that when you gain a skill, when you upscale, and you upskill, just as Dr. Barrister Martina said, the most ingredient that sustains everything is your ability to maintain your trust. And that was what the president of the summit summarized as a take-home message, and which was a nexus to the declaration that was made in Copenhagen in 1995. And I think that was a major take for me. Thank you very much.
Can we put us together for that beautiful social development cannot be without social inclusion. Mr. Doha, we are seeing you dressed elegantly with all accessories from that mighty event. We can see your beautiful style on it and the books and the pen. Can we put us together for Mr. Doha? It's not easy. After 30 years, it's not easy. Please, can you see the beautiful books in Doha? Mr. Doha holding Doha in his hands. Amen. Hallelujah. So with all this beautiful being said and done, what's next is what is on the list right now, because they had an amazing time. You can see them all glowing, looking amazingly beautiful. The experience shows that it was amazing. So Dr. Barrister Azza Martina, can you tell us what's next after all this beautiful experience? What is next for us to be, or what to be done?
Okay, thank you very much. One of the things I was particularly impressed when the presidents, some of the representatives were giving their reports, there was one aspect captured about debts. And so many speakers said the focus of the international bodies or the international organizations or institutions should shift from giving loans to Africa or developing countries and enabling Africa to be a hub of production of their own resources. Rather than giving loans which become debt burdens, they should empower productivity and enhance industry in Africa. And they talked a lot about innovation. And for me, if I keep asking, when I enjoyed Doha, like during that period, I felt like I just needed to breathe. Because when the election results came up, I was devastated. Trust me, I cried in my house. Because we wanted change. Everybody wants better. Everybody wants to see new. So I was expecting this new, like, water to drink. So when it didn't come, I cried. I broke down. I wanted to go to Ghana. I wanted to go to I just wanted to leave for a while to cool my head. Because there is something in me about my nation. So one of the things I learned, or that was emphasized, is innovation. So I'm bringing to us, or we are bringing to us, what you're doing. Part of what I was sharing here is, what would you do differently if you become a leader or as a leader in your sphere? Most of us have been trained to, or we have been trained to wait for the government to provide solutions. What if those solutions never come from the government? As part of the civil society, what can you do? As a church, in that space where your church is taking place, what can you do? Our laws don't make certain things easy for us to do, which is one of the things that there's a lot going on. I just know that time will speak for itself. But there are lots of things God is laying in our hearts, on our pens to put down, which will turn or transform to policies, which will foster innovations. But when you're coming to this street, how do you feel? Because it's like living a very soft, cozy ride to a boom, 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 boom experience. It makes you think, how can my country become that way? But you cannot do it as a person. So what can you do to even contribute to those, or to the change you want to experience? As a pastor, those under you, who are the engineers you can start indoctrinating about the infrastructural development. If they don't give the possibility to tar a road or tar the roads in the street, but the council, you can apply to the council to at least throw seawall in that street. That was made for during when we're hosting the Lake conference in May. we had the possibility to apply to the city council for this road to be graded or for the seawall to be thrown. There is supposed to be that innovation consciousness. As a leader, what difference do you make besides criticizing the government? What are you doing? They say don't ask what the government has done. What are you doing for your own nation? Are you part of those? You don't throw garbage on the street. Are we part of those who are littering our streets? As small as little things. Are you part of those who throw garbage on the streets? Are you part of those who know that this is a waterway because you so badly want that position or to construct your house? You have to do things so that that place is obstructed. I left my tree yesterday or 2 days ago and I was angry. You see clearly that this is a passage, this is a road, but somebody has built on it. And the person I was talking to angrily said, it is your colleague who has built on it. So are you part of the problem? Are you going to be part of the problem or part of the solution? If you are not the minister, you're not the president, you are the head of an organization, you are the head of a home, you are an empowered person in a particular community. That is what we can do after Doha. So we believe that we'll have more opportunities to go to talk better, do more contextualized trainings on the take home. There is a document, the Doha Political Declaration on Social Development. We can explore it, look at what has been proposed, contextualize it to the vision and mission of VONEC and our individual organizations. And I believe from there, we can contribute our quota to achieve the outcomes of that.
Can we put our hands together for that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful? We're going to take a conclusive statement from Dr. Tato Dilis Orok.
Thank you once again. Conclusively, I would like to relate an experience to here. Qatar is a desert. It's a desert. But they have made heaven there, honestly. There are places where you go to and you wonder if the people who are living there will still go to heaven. It's being unfair. Like they are already living in heaven and they still have to go to heaven. Then we are living where we are. What am I trying to say? I'm saying that if people who are living in a desert, no trees, no water, nothing except for a burning, scorching sun that is capable of killing a human being. If they can do all of that with nothing, what are we doing with Cameroon? A taximan in Qatar will buy fuel and ask the fuel seller to keep the change. Meaning that the standard of living there is very high. That even a taxi driver lives well. He has enough to give out. Social development is talking about poverty eradication. It's not talking about seeking for employment, meaning that more jobs are supposed to be created if we want to eradicate poverty. And now it's not just talking about jobs being created, it's talking about decent work. How do we treat our workers, the people that work for us? You employ people, you keep them there, they work, they labor, and they have to sit and wait 6 months before they get a salary. Finally, it's talking about social inclusion. And we see in the body of Christ now, this one is fighting this one. It's talking about acceptability, unity in diversity, partnership. In one of the sessions, a young boy, I'm sure I'm older than him, he made a very deep statement. When they were asking him to give a conclusive statement, he said that they need to sponsor intergenerational partnership. That is, the old are supposed to depend on the innovative spirit of the young, while the young are supposed to depend on the wisdom that resides in the old. But is that reflective of our nation? We constantly fight each other, oh, Gen Z generation. Yes, they are Gen Z, but they have something to offer. Oh, the old generation, they have passed. They are archaic. Yes, they are archaic, but they have wisdom that you need. They have wisdom that we need. So the question goes back to us. It's a challenge. What can we do to eradicate poverty as individuals, as institutions? What can we do to include ourselves? A certain president ended by making this statement, leaving no one behind. Believing that whether you are black, white, short, tall, and even if you are disabled, is not a reason to be excluded. I met a lady there on a wheelchair. She is CEO of an organization. I'm sure that it was the one who presented me to her. We were exchanging cards. But there are people who are full-fledged and they cannot make it. So it's just a lot of things. That's to tell us, you're talking about what can we take home. We're taking home that there is a lot of work to be done in Cameroon, and it is you and I who are supposed to do that work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are glad and for listening to us, and we wish you guys an amazing evening.
Okay, do it with the Gulf energy. Let me hear it. I want you to hear it better. All right, please, can we do justice to the hall? If you're behind, please take a step forward. There are no seats in front of you. This way, come in front. You don't need somebody to usher you at the hall. Please do justice to the seats so that the ushers and avoid movements. Do justice to the seats. Let me take the three here. Mom. All of you, just take your seat. I'm enjoying. Take your bag. Take your bag. Do justice to the seat. Come in front so that nobody is ushering somebody, please. It's important. It's true, we have some people who are coming. When Pastor Frank is here, they should take him the other way. You're seated behind. Keep coming. Okay. This evening, I'm privileged to say God opened a door for us as a commissioned. And today we have on our platform many of our children traveling to nations as nothing. Some of your sisters and brothers went to the Lucerne Convention in South Korea, came back. Some went for the leadership, the Africa and Middle Africa, East Africa leadership meeting in Ethiopia. Some are about to go to Ghana. Some are about to go to Brazil. The doors keep opening wide and wider. Some are not going as individuals, some are going as institutions that have the capacity to carry other people along. It's a great privilege. It's a great privilege that we are appreciating God. Those who came with him, bring them this way. Anybody who came, 2 of them, bring them this way to sit close to. It's okay. So it is a privilege to see what God is doing and all that. Someday I believe that majority of us will sit in a UN summit, different kinds of summit, sometimes not just to sit, but to facilitate in the various areas of our passions, our burdens, and assignment. It will be shocking to you that with the organizations that were selected, we had the capacity to take 60 persons to Doha. 60. We were given, if they summed the organization together, we had 60 space of people to carry to Doha. And that is why we keep making emphasis that get your documents, passports, like we talk to people, get things that you need to get, because we are in the days of opportunities. When we pray, a season has come, and we have to utilize that season effectively. This evening, it's an awesome privilege to have someone I call my father. Father is not only someone who gave birth to you, but also someone who grew you up, and someone who led you, who showed you the way, and made you to who you are. I was a young man in Manfe. Life was going a downturn around Form 4, breaking into Form 5. And the person who is about to speak to you here, who happens to be a cousin, had just come back from the US. My mother had to talk to him. And I had the privilege to be sponsored by him from Form 5, high school. Yesterday we heard my mother speaking. The husband is here with us tonight. Gave me the privilege to go to school. I would have probably be a school dropped out. And all the acclamations, some people clap. There are people who labored on the destinies of people. There are people who make men. Had the exposures to the university, had a two-side coin of life. A coin to where you have an exposure to absolute poverty, toughness, scaling through life, and then coming to live with him and the wife to see another angle of life, as if what Dillis is calling is like heaven on earth. The person I'm presenting to you is the light and the bright of the Itas family, the first person who ever left this country and has made the greatness that the Itas family has today. A man who has sponsored nearly every name that has Eta and has never gotten tired. A man who has extended to help send every Eta seat to many nations and has never gotten tired. His resilience and commitment to see not just us as individuals and children become better. Someone who knew money and is still yet very humbled. Since I ever started doing what we are doing, this is his first time to ever appear here for those of us who've been here. But Nick is 19 years old. But this is his first time to be on this platform. I felt and I knew, because some people see me help. I said, this man has helped and sponsored people. And I said, if they actually know that I've seen somebody who has helped people and has never gotten tired. 1980-something, he had a degree in the United States of America in engineering, extended, worked, owned companies in Cameroon, abroad, staffing, children. Please help me stand and let's welcome my father, the pride of my pastor.
What a welcome. Thank you, Dr. Peter, for those kind words. It's so emotional indeed. I was here last year for a visit, but the Spirit told me I was going to be back to talk. I didn't know when it was going to happen until he called me. I said, okay. That was the vision. Came to fruition. So I want to thank all of you in this gathering of frontliners for inviting me. I want to say I'm blessed to be in the house of the Lord, to be in this stage. You have to be blessed to be up here. It's not everyone who has the opportunity to stand up here. I am blessed. This is an amazing experience that I will remember for a very long time. I've heard the speakers here this evening talk about a problem of leadership. And all of you are in the right place to become those leaders that this country needs. The problems you all have, the problems you see today, is because of sustainable leadership. It's because of the lack of ethical leadership. It's because of the lack of trusted leaders in this country who have the fear of God when they do their work. And if you don't have those set of people, a nation can never develop. It's not going to grow, no matter what you do. You talk about the bad roads. There's money to fix those roads. It's in the hands of the leaders. They think about themselves. A leader has to think about the people they serve. One of my famous motivational speakers, I listen to a lot of them, is by name Simon Sinek. You guys can check him out. He said leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Leadership is not being about you being in charge, but taking care of those in your charge. You have to take care of them. Personally, my style of leadership is guided by a few things. As he mentioned, I left this country as a teenager. I was 19 years old. We grew up poor, like most of you. But I was driven by several things. And I saw myself going a step ahead. I didn't know what was going to happen, how it was going to be done, but I knew God would make it possible for me. I was guided by those beliefs, very strong beliefs. In whatever I did, I was very positive. There was no sense of negativity whenever I tried to do something. I always knew if I attempted to do something, it's going to work. Because quite often you fail when you are driven by negativity. So I have very few principles that I live on in my life. As I was fortunate to get out of this country very early on, I had to focus on the bigger picture. And my leadership skills started very early because I never put myself in front of whatever I did. I engaged myself in community work, student activities, student union. I volunteered my time. I worked for other people. And in the course of that, I was always blessed. Because I gave something, and in return, God gave me something back. So I went through school, undergrad. I studied, went on to do a master's, did a second master's from the University of Maryland Executive School of Management. My classmates were CIOs, CEOs, top leaders, so I learned from them. It was very practical, everything we did. So I learned a lot of skills, and I'll talk about some of that today with you guys. But my style of leadership is guided by faith, purpose, resilience. And I'm also guided by ethics and empathy. So whatever I do, I think about you. I think about how you're going to feel. How do you feel when I make that decision? That's where the empathy comes in. And faith is not only about religion. Faith has to do with your beliefs, your values, your mission of that higher purpose, God-driven purpose. That's where your faith comes in. And you guys talked about resilience. You have to be resilient because it's going to be setbacks. If I sit here today and tell you the setbacks that I went through in my life, I would have given up. But I couldn't, because it wasn't about me. Whatever I did wasn't about me. It was about other people. So that's where your resilience comes in. Vodnek did not start yesterday. Some were not resilient enough to continue. They drop off along the way. But those who will continue, they will see the fruits of their labor. How many of you can envision what Vodnek is going to be in 10, 15 years? I can, because that's what I do as a leader. I look down the road. I see things with my eyes closed, lying down, that people don't see with their eyes open. That's what leaders do. I see things with my eyes closed, lying down that people don't see with their eyes open. If I was to spend 10 more minutes here, I'll tell you what VOCNEC is going to be in 10, 15 years. Because I can envision it. I can see it. Because I see the energy, I see the focus in all of you. Pat Robertson, a televangelist in the United States, I think Pat passed away. He was very popular. He built a great university. I believe it's called Trinity. I went there once. And what did he do? Pat trained Christian leaders. Those are the people running the United States Congress today, most of them. They came from those universities. Ethical, strong values. You can apply that anywhere. Leaders are not only born to serve in organizations, all of you are leaders. If you are married, you have a home, husband and wife, you are leaders. You have to lead with example to take care of those kids. So leadership is fundamental. It goes across. If you don't build the right skill sets, that house is going to be in disarray. Those kids will be in disarray. They're not going to go anywhere. They'll become thieves. They'll become recalcitrant. So you as a leader, even at home, you have to groom them with some of those values. Ethics, faith, God-fearing, you name them. So I have a PowerPoint. You guys will not be able to see it, but there are a few things because I was given a topic today. I like to ramble. I attend a lot of conferences. I just came back from Germany about a month ago. The work I do, I'm a director. So I lead every day, every single day. I had somebody mention about AI, technology and stuff, and I tell my employees every day. I said, the world is changing, and those who embrace the change, the technology is going to move forward. Learning is a continuum, and those who do not embrace it is going to be left behind. And AI is going to impact every facet of our lives, every single thing. Here at VOCNEC, a lot is going to change. The way you people communicate today, you have to utilize social media. If you put those tools together, those ideas you have, the things you do, will be heard across the world. Use those platforms are out there. So I'm going to run through a few of the slides I have. The question I have for you all is, why do many great African ideas fail to last? Why do many African ideas fail to last, great African ideas? Think about it. You see, Africa is in an innovation moment. Very young population. They call it the mobile first continent. Rising digital skills. But the local needs are unmet, despite all of this. The lady just talked about the roads, the bad roads. The skills are there. You go to school, you train, but the needs are unmet. So Africa does not lack ideas. Africa lacks innovation leadership. Cameroon lacks innovation leadership. So since my topic is on ICT, Information and Communications Technology, what ICT does is it drives innovation. ICT drives innovation, solving real problems, using digital tools, designing realities for local consumption, the things that you all need, and building systems. There are a few model countries that have done these things. Rwanda is one of them. Innovation by vision and discipline. That's what the leaders in Rwanda have done. They have a clear national ICT strategy for the whole country. And they have strong institutions to do this. The other country is Kenya. Kenya has developed their ICT with a lot of tech hubs, youths, young people like you, having startups, tech startups. That's what's going on in Kenya today. A lot of it driving innovation. And the third country I'm going to mention is Ghana. They have a strong e-government, electronic government. Everything is online for the most part. I know we're trying that in Cameroon, but we have infrastructure problems. You look at the internet, you try to use the internet, keep saying connecting, connecting, connecting. Cameroon has more internet than you can think of. It's in the shore of the sea. It comes into the submarine cable. It's sitting there, lots of it. Camtel is the main supplier. So Orange, MTN has to buy from Camtel. Monopoly. And when it's brought to the shore, the infrastructure is not there. So the internet is faster in Douala and Yaoundé than it is here in Limbe or Boya. And then you go down to Kumba, it gets slow. You get to Mamfe, it's not even existing. So the infrastructure is not there. It's not like Cameroon does not have it. They have it. But the infrastructure has not been built because of lack of sustainable leadership. It's not any of your fault. The funds are there, they're given, but the leaders don't do what is good for the people to benefit. When you hear of Ghana, Kenya having all these innovation strategy, it's because our leaders put certain things in place. Our youths are graduating from universities, no opportunities. The world has become a global village. If the opportunities were there, you can sit right here and a company in America and Britain will hire you. You work online, fast speed internet. It's happening all over the world now. A lot of young people in India are no longer traveling. They are working right in India for companies abroad. It can happen here, but it's not happening because of lack of sustainable leadership. So all of these countries I've mentioned have several things in common. There's leadership continuity. They're investing in their people. They have clear rules, and the youth, like yourselves, are included in the decision making. The youth are included in the decision making. So why does innovation leadership fail? It fails because of four things. Short-term thinking, weak institutions, founder-centered projects whereby somebody starts a project, it's all about them. They don't open up to bring partners to build and develop. Self-centered. And the fourth one is a poor mentorship culture. I know you guys, as part of your program here, you are building mentors. Mentorship is very, very important. I had mentors in the course of my leadership. My boss, every one of my bosses, I learned from them. And what does it take for you to learn? There's one thing, and I want you to remember it, it's called humility. You have to humble yourself. And so that's how I was able to learn from my bosses. So that's very important as well. So innovation without leadership, it looks like most people will start a pilot and then you'll fail. You have a lot of projects that are abandoned on the way, and there's loss of trust. So what is the role of youth leaders like yourself? You have a role to play. You have to be long-term thinkers. You always have to think much further. Don't think short-term. And think big. If you think small, you end up small. If you think big, you go further, even if you don't get to the end. So we call that strategic thinking. You have to think big. You have to develop ethical, what we call ethical innovators. You have to be an ethical innovator. Ethics plays a strong role in your leadership. And I know Voknek is working a lot on building that. And finally, you have to be problem solvers. You have to be problem solvers. Quite often, when I am hiring somebody, when I interview a candidate, I get their resume, their CV, as it's called here, review it. There's only one thing I ask. What problem are you going to solve for me? What problem are you going to solve for me? If you can tell me clearly the problem you're going to solve, you're hired. So you have to be problem solvers as you prepare your leadership roles. Now, ICT in itself, as a leadership accelerator, calls for a few things. It calls for transparency. And something that I often call as a pillar in my course of leadership in technology is three things: accountability, transparency, and modernization. Transparency, accountability, and modernization. So as a leader, you have to hold those three values very strongly. You have to be very transparent. You have to modernize. Continuous process improvements. And you have to be accountable. Accountability, that's where ethics comes in. That's where you call upon, as an ethical leader, to make the right decisions. I was having a conversation outside with the professor a few minutes ago, and I said, you're going to be challenged. As an ethical leader, grown from institutions like VOCNEC, you go out there, you're going to be challenged because there aren't many of you. So you have to build more of you. With those skills you have, alone at Biaka, it's not going to change it. You have to have 10, 15 of you thinking the same way. Because whatever you learn here and take it out there, you're going to get pushbacks. Because inherently, human beings don't like change. And that's the most difficult thing. They want to keep doing what they've always done. But you have to be resilient, and that's why you guys have that here. You're going to get pushbacks, but you're also going to say no. I am morally upbound, I'm morally trained. I'm not going to change that. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way I am guided, ethically, spiritually. And I believe what I'm doing is for the people. It's always going to be for the people. It's not about you. And once you believe in that you're doing the right thing for the people, nothing can stop it. Nobody. Only you can stop yourself. So I want you, before I go, to think of one problem in your community. How ICT can help sustain it. Think about one problem in your community that ICT can help sustain it. That could be an assignment after the conference or the summit. So what you can do today, there are a few things. You start building your skills, digital skills, because of the changing world. I recall some years ago, a friend of mine, a big director in Cameroon, asked for a laptop. I brought him a laptop. Came back years after, it was still sitting by his desk. He never touched it. He wanted the secretary to do everything. We're not going to grow as a country. You're the leader, you don't know how to use the equipment. How are you going to be able to train your people? So start building digital skills. Build teams to work with, not silos. If you work alone, You can go a few steps, but you cannot go far unless you work with other people. Finally, you have to document and mentor other people. So for youths, several leadership skills that you need to develop are: one, vision. You must have a vision. Integrity. Always doing the right thing, no matter the difficulty. You have to collaborate, work with other people, and then execute. So my final call to action for all of you is that Africa's future, Cameroon's future will not be imported. It will be innovated. And it will be led by all of you. You're going to lead it. So in closing, we started doing that 2 years ago. I know Dr. Peter has not told you people about this. We founded an organization, a nonprofit organization called ICTAC, Information and Communication Technology Association of Cameroon, to empower young people in ICT. So I've been doing sensitization for the last 2 years. I go to schools as part of my mission when I'm on holidays. I go to high schools and talk to students about developing ICT skills, talk to them about AI, tell them they need to train and develop careers in those areas, no matter the discipline. I see Biaka training all those nurses today. Nursing has changed in the world. You cannot be a nurse if you are not ICT trained in the United States. You are working with machines. It's not only people. The diagnostics you're doing, you're sitting on a computer. My sister is a nurse, so I tell you guys from experience. And when the revolution started, she called me. She said, what am I going to do? I said, I'll send you a laptop. You have to train. And she started training. She started training. I said, if you don't train, you're not going to have a job. So no matter your career, no matter what area you are in, think about ICT. If not for yourself, for your kids. The digital divide is so wide between this country and other countries. I just gave you 3 examples: Kenya, Ghana, and Rwanda. Our kids are way behind. They are not prepared for the world and future. So you people as leaders have to do something. You have to be the mentors. If it means you're going to sit in that class with your kid and train, do it. So it's so important. So that's why we formed this organization. We'll leave you with some of the literature, and you can read it. And if you want to be part of this, feel free to be part of it. It's still God's work. We are not making money out of this, but we are reaching people. We are building communities. And that's what leadership is all about. And that's what you all are doing. So I am extremely happy being here. This is such a wonderful organization, this faith-based organization. I am inspired. I am motivated. I'm driven by what I've seen. and head. It's not the quantity that matters, it's the quality. You don't have to have 500 people here. But you, the volunteers who have been here to put 3 days of active learning and participation, interaction with your peers, is a lot. I want to thank you all for your time, listening to my rambling. I hope you gained something out of it. If not, I'll do better next time. But I thank you again, and may God bless all of you.
Want to sit here. While that is going on, please let's help me welcome a wonderful gift God gave us as a nation in the body of Christ. One person who stood with me when I was hosting Lay Conference, I was on a visit to his church, and that day they gave us 20 cartons of tires. Please, let's stand up and clap for Pastor Frank, who is in our midst. We're more than the word grateful. Amen. Hallelujah. Let's celebrate the presence of Dr. Ngong, who is here, the Director of Education. And I want you to know that there are many of Pastor Frank's sons who are around here. It's an amazing brother and friend right here. Let's celebrate the Vice Board President that's been doing the coordination. I know sometimes I said I'll do a lot of celebration tomorrow, and the husband has been doing a great job right behind there and all that. I'll do a lot of welcome tomorrow intensively. The day is fast spent. Now we heard Pat talking, and I want us, if you have questions, you can sit down, please. Just take your seat for a few moments in different areas. People have apostolic mantle. Sometimes in the church we preach about breaking family patterns, breaking ground, and it's a preaching. But some people have that grace that they have walked through that road and helped a lot of people. I think the usher should have a mic running, and if you have a question you want to ask, we can give you the floor to ask. Barrister Martina, you are here, you can sit. Just come and sit here for some few moments. It's a grace. You spoke tonight. Just sit here. Come on, put your hands together for her. She comes on stage. Okay. Mike. There's someone here. Okay. Please be smart about what you're doing. I'll give Mrs. Froome a mic.
Okay, I want to thank our father so much for the teachings. It was really impactful to me personally. My question goes thus. You concluded by saying we have to inculcate ICT skills on our children as young as they are. So but now when we attend some parenting courses, they try to help us, or they try to tell us that children are not supposed to really be exposed to these gadgets at a very tender age. So I want to know, at what age should we actually start inculcating ICT values on our children?
Well, I always answer such questions by example. I started my kids when I was carrying them on my laps. And whenever I work on my computers, I carried my daughter, and she was watching me. And she grew up, though she never did computers, but having a liking for it. There is no age limit. You control what they process. There are a lot of, even, you remember now, a cell phone is a computer, right? A cell phone is a computer. You can block the apps, you can block the sites where they go. And I would not advise you to give a cell phone to a very young kid until they are maybe a teenager, all right? In terms of if you buy your kid, say a laptop, you can block the sites. The technicians are here in the house, they'll tell you. So there are certain programs out there. It's better for the children to start early, very early, developing those skills. I would say as early as 5. Yeah, let them start. But you control what, yeah, they have access to.
If there's nobody with a question, just lift up your hand so that they spot you around the hall.
Thank you very much, sir, for the knowledge. One of the reasons you gave us on why innovative leadership fails was short-term thinking. I wish to ask some factors that influence long-term thinking so that we can become better, innovative leaders.
Can you stand up?
Thank you.
Take your question again.
Okay. From the teaching you gave us, you said one of the reasons why innovative leadership fails was short-term thinking. So I wish to find out some of the factors that influence long-term thinking for us to become better, innovative leaders.
We see a lot of that in Africa. Our leaders are not strategic. When you're working on a project, you have to build a plan, a development plan, a strategic plan, a short-term and a long-term plan. It's not that those things are not written, they are. But when the funds are given, because of the poor leadership, because of their ethics, I don't want to use the word corruption, but, or embezzlement, but the funds are not appropriated for the project. So they think short term. You give a leader a project to build a road. If they use the funds and put it appropriately, that road can last for 20, 15 years. But short term, they'll cut corners. The common man, the people they're serving, would not know that a good job hasn't been done. They'll make the road look as if it's been built, and within 2 years, you have potholes. That's why you have the bad roads. So the short-term thinking is usually for personal gratification. So when you think long-term, it's not about you. It's about building legacies. It's about doing things that others will benefit after you're gone. And I think those are the values people are learning here. That's part of moral leadership. So whatever you do, you don't put yourself first. You should not think you're the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the people you are serving. You're a servant of God. So short-term vision, short results, bottom line.
Okay, good evening to everyone. It's actually my first time coming here, and this gathering is actually amazing. And I heard about everything you said, and also the doctor what she also taught, and I was actually overwhelmed with everything that was said. And actually, I want to take myself as an example, coming from a very tough in fact, having a very tough background, and not being able to realize certain things that I want for myself, or I actually think long term, but now I have limits. Now, for somebody like me who has a plan who is actually seeing the future of the country being relying on food, because very soon food is going to become something else. It is already becoming, because if we could not predict that a bag of rice could be 30,000 francs now. Now, if I sitting here has the plan of having about 100 hectares of palm, and maybe another 100 hectares of maybe something else, maybe foodstuffs and all the like, or maybe even poetry. Now that is my dream, that is my goal. Now I am actually a software, I went to school and I studied software engineering, and now I am a teacher of computer and ICT. Now I am thriving to reach that goal, but I am seeing myself being held back by certain stumbling blocks, because I have to save to maybe buy a laptop. I have to save, I don't know what. In fact, I have a business plan, but the kind of figures I find in my business plan are very, very gigantic. So I'm kind of asking that at this point that I find myself now, with the kind of dream I have, where should I start? Yes. Yeah. Yes, we say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So.
Okay. I want to say I'm humbled and privileged to sit here with our father, and I don't know why he gave me the mic, but I think talking about starting from a difficult background, I could be able to say something about that by experience. And one of the things, I think talking about resilience in this particular era is a top priority need for everybody sitting in this place. Trust me, we are in an era that you can give up the next minute because of the obstacles that are mounting. When we were preparing to go to Qatar, 2 days before we traveled, I paid my flight 2 days or a day to the event. I didn't have the fare. I didn't have my flight fare. So what happened is we started receiving rumors that the airport was blocked. Already you would want to think, for me who has not paid, maybe it's an advantage. I should just keep the money if at all. But you also want to think of what do you want to achieve. There are obstacles, there are setbacks. So if you have that, I just gave that to talk about the importance of resilience. What we did to scale through is that we had to do investigation of the information that comes out. Because one of the things that is happening now, there's a lot of propaganda in the media, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you want to fact check anything that comes to your phone before you receive it as truth or as authentic. So I knew that there were certain news agencies that would immediately give out an information if the airport was blocked. I checked all of them, there was no such report. But you kept seeing the news, you kept seeing those things on social media. And then we double-checked with each other. I spoke with Dr. Dillis, we spoke with a few others, and it's like, whatever is happening, we are traveling. So if you don't build the resilience first, because of the setbacks, you are going nowhere to happen. One of the mandates of my life is raising people to rise above obstacles. In fact, there's one thing that has been above rising above obstacles, because without which, first of all, where we come from, we will never have been here. I was the first person to get anything of a university degree in my family. There was nothing like it was going to happen. I was the first to get a master's. I was the first to have a professional, anything professional. Why? Because I saw that it was not happening there. I wanted to do it. Was it easy? No. So you don't need to start with the gigantic figures. If you want to start big, you will obviously fail before you even begin. And this is it. Don't narrow your vision because you want to start small. Keep the big picture. But now, our father was talking about plan. There is what you call planning. You do vision accomplishment piecemeal. Take the first stage of what you want to do. You have 1 million, even let's just take as small as 1 million, not 100 million or 1 billion. Start with 50,000, 20,000. Accomplish what you can do with 20,000. When you realize it and you are effective, you will realize 50,000. With 50,000, you've already had a bigger capital, right? You can now step up. So don't narrow the big picture, but don't start with the big picture. You see where we are seated? This hall was built without a loan from any bank. But do you know how it started? I'm part of the Vonek board. There was 2 million francs in the Vonek account. Do you know how much this building has been put in here? It's not less than 150 to 200 million. Can you relate 2 million to 200 million? There's no connection. So dream big, but start small. The scripture says, do not so do not minimize your days of start and keep doing what you're doing, make it small. My father said it always takes
I was just going to echo those sentiments again. And it's part of the team is very powerful. Resilience is all it takes. There's going to be obstacles. Nothing you ever do in this world. My mother used to say something. I cannot repeat it in the dialect because you all don't understand the dialect. But this is what she said. She said, the water I drink always has death in it. You guys understand what that means? She says the water she drinks always has an amount of death. So no matter what she does, there's obstacles. Her water is always dirty, but she finds a way to drink it. Resilience is the key. We have to be very, very resilient. And I focus on the power of positive thinking. The day or Saturn was. I don't. You stay positive, you stay resilient, focus on the direction where you want to go. How long it takes you to get there.
Thank you very much, sir. I just have 3 very quick questions. Number 1, what specific ICT innovations are currently solving real local problems in Cameroon? The second question is, looking at the next 5 to 10 years, which ICT area or areas, the AI, fintech, agri-tech, healthcare, e-government, etc., pose the greatest opportunity for Cameroon and Cameroonians? And the third question, you spoke about India being able to work from their nation. Are there ICT job opportunities irrespective of Cameroonians?
Well, those were quite a good number of questions thrown there. In terms of Cameroon, what areas? I think there's ICT in agriculture right now in Cameroon. They're doing some work on that. Of course, there's e-commerce developing. Cameroon for a long time, when we had to apply like for visas or passports, you know how long it took. But they've gone a step ahead. I don't have now, when I'm coming, because I'm an American citizen, I have to get a visa to come here. Before I used to send a paper application to the embassy, I take it there, now I do it online. So there's progress in those areas, but it's slow because of lack of sustainable leadership, okay? Even the contract to digitalize IDs, you know what happened with that, national identities in Cameroon, okay? So they are making progress, but the progress is very slow, and it points to sustainable leadership. Now, what was the other question again? Okay. What area holds, and this is for you leaders, there are two areas I look at today. Artificial intelligence, which is penetrating every single domain, everything you do. AI. Cybersecurity. Vodnik is going to build very strong systems. But if they are not secured, if they are not protected, all that data that you people have there, if an intruder gets in there one day, corrupts everything, where do you people start? Cybersecurity is very, very important. It's only a few countries who are still fighting wars using guns. Most countries now are fighting wars through cybersecurity. I remember my institution where I work a few years ago had a ransomware attack. And the intruders came from some East European country. They penetrated our system and they corrupted everything. The institution was shut down for almost a month. We couldn't work. We lost time, effort, and money. And they asked for a ransom of $1 million. We refused to pay. We had to rebuild our system. So now we've learned a lesson. Even me coming here, bringing my laptop, it had to be geo-fenced. They had to block it so that I can only operate while I'm in Cameroon. They see anything else, they won't accept. That's all part of cybersecurity. So that's an area where those of you who want to get into IT can look at. Cybersecurity, AI. There's a lot we can talk about that we can spend a whole day, but those are the promising careers. And I think one more question here. Yes, definitely. But you have to upskill. You have to train. You have to train. And that's the key. You just have to train. You have to prepare yourself. You know, in as much as God will help you, but you have to be, in order for God to help you make those moves, you have to be able to help yourself. You have to train. You can't just sit back and relax and wait that the Lord will take care of everything for you. If you train, you'll be blessed. So there are opportunities, yes, right in this country. If you have the right skills, you have Cameroonians who are coming back to start up small businesses. When we start our organization, probably next year, we're going to be hiring people to work for us. But I'm not going to hire anybody because you're a relative or a friend. I'm going to hire people who have the skills. And that's the way I do my business, ethically. I don't hire because I know you. I hire because you can get a job done.
Okay, I'm not an IT person, but all of us are upgrading. And when I was a stay-home mom, because when I was nurturing, I got to discover many jobs you can be doing from Cameroon, in America, in Europe, in India. You can work from your home across any platform. But like our father said, you need to upgrade. There are remote jobs. There are sites which just share remote job opportunities. They need somebody to be a call clerk. That's you're here, but you're the one who is the customer service for a particular company in America, in India, or anywhere. But the challenge we have, network. So that's the limitation. I had a friend, because there was a time I had to learn, even there are many people, young people I'm encouraging recently to engage on teaching online, teaching language online. You learn the language. They don't need you to be a very skilled professional in English language or French. They just need you to be a native English speaker. That is to say your first language is English. And then you can, of course, speak good English. You learn, they train you, they establish you on the platforms, and then you can teach toddlers, you can teach aging people, you can teach those who want to migrate to another country to maybe pick up a job, but they are maybe from China, from places where English is not their first language. You also have different kinds of job where you can be in your room and you're working. So those opportunities are there. That is why we have to, being here is an opportunity for you to learn. After, maybe because we don't have all the time, we can connect. That's why networking is important. How do I get this? One of the things we learned when we traveled for the conferences, we used to think that for you to be an ECOSOC accredited organization is a very big thing. But you need just 2 years of existence to become an ECOSOC accredited organization. But some of us are 15 years and more, but you will never know. VONEC can be accredited to the UN. We have gotten the knowledge, so we are working on those things now. So knowledge is very important. Exposure is important. And this is one of the things this platform is offering you. With all of what you're learning here, what will you do with it? What do you need most? Contact the persons who have shared the information, and then you can continue from there. Thank you. Okay, my question, anyway, I wouldn't want to send a question to our father, but like he gave us a challenge, a call to action. The question I ask, and I keep asking myself, one of the reasons I'm delaying somehow on my PhD thesis is that when I'm writing, I look at the progress. There is something I have as an expectation. When you finish the thesis defense, what impact will it make? Because we have everybody's doing PhD now because education is losing value somehow. So everybody's having, if we sit in this hall, we have no less than maybe 30 master's degree holders. What is the difference with your master's degree? So for me, the question is to you, to us, to our fathers, to our leaders, as a PhD researcher, as a health worker, as an educator, what can you do with ICT to make sure that the work you're doing is relevant across Cameroon or beyond Cameroon? As a lawyer, what can I do? As a civil society advocate or women and girls' rights advocate, what can I do As a pastor, what can you do? Not just with ICT, but with all of what we are learning. What is your innovation from here? I always make this statement. After praying for 12 hours, somebody may think I have a problem with praying for long. If I'm one of those who love the stretching, prayer stretch. But what do you bring back from your prayer stretch as an innovative idea to implement in your sector? What will you leave golf as an innovative idea to implement in your sector? My question is just a food for thought.
Thank you so much, Daddy. It's not actually a question, and I want to pick from where she's coming from. I'm in the education sector, and before coming in, Daddy just challenged me by saying that a time is going to come where we'll no longer need those big libraries like what you find in UB. Thanks to technology, a lot of things are changing. And I recall telling the students one time in class that a time is going to come where we'll not need even the structures, because you can sit at the comfort of your room and have a class, and probably what you call a school will surely be maybe just some two-room offices somewhere for you to just go and at least have your certificate or whatever, having a physical structure. I want to thank Daddy so much because he has raised a lot of issues that are affecting us. Some of us who even work in the private sector, in the course of upscaling, you can find yourself trying to bring some innovation, some ethical leadership, some transparency, accountability, but you work around persons who obviously tell you, this is not how we operate here. Yes, because we in Cameroon in general, there is a culture whereby if you are in an environment, you obviously are tempted to behave like people in that environment. You have that wisdom to add this and add this. Someone will tell you in pidgin, you did do and so like so now only you do and at the end of the day, it sounds like you are exposing some people because of your integrity. You are exposing some fishy things that people do because of your integrity, because you want to make the example. And I'm not really like asking a question, but I wish to challenge all of us to know that it is going to be challenging with respect to innovative leaders that fear God, like that they rightfully say that there is money in this country, but the roads are horrible. Who is keeping the money? There are obviously persons who have gone to the university, learn, but they are not God-fearing, to be able to be accountable for the resources that have been kept at their disposal to bring development. And this platform, Daddy, thank you so much. This platform is really a platform for us to think. In your field of work, agriculture, teaching, banking, or whatever, ask yourself, can I make a difference as a child of God? That even if I'm being sacked from that place of work, someone will actually acknowledge that I did not do it, and you take it as an opportunity to keep standing for God. I believe that Joseph in the Bible is a perfect example, that we stand for integrity and keep doing the right thing. It's not for us to go as others do go and dancing in the tone of what we call it's a culture, but ensuring that in our own little way, we add value to our community, we add value to our country, we add value into our field of studies. Thank you so much.
Just to add what the professor has said, do not limit yourself in the domain of ICT. Do not think that you have to be a science student, you have to be science inclined to preoccupy yourself with an ICT skill. Everything in this world you do is you have to have an open mind. You have to be willing to learn new things. And if you believe that, nothing can stop you. Nothing can challenge you if you have an open mind. For those of you who feel like nothing is moving after your degrees and stuff, go out there, get a certification. He mentioned, Dr. Peter mentioned earlier, when we had a business here in Limbe, we had a school, one of the very first professional ICT schools in Limbe, and he taught there. I remember some students who left UB at the time came there and studied computers for a few months. They took the certificate at the end, went to Nigeria, went to Douala and had jobs. They upgraded themselves. So do not limit yourself. It's only you who can stop you. Nobody can stop you if you put your mind in anything you want to do. Because you know, being children of God, that God is always going to guide you. But the doors are there, they're open for you. You just have to walk in, embrace it. Despite the resilience, despite the setbacks, there will be setbacks. There will be a lot of them. But you'll be able to overcome.
All right. I want us to have some pictures that we can call the session a day. I want to believe nobody has a question any further. Let's have the board president bring an usher, bring us a seat this way. Bring us 3 seats. Let another one come from this way. The young men, please, somebody help us take the pulpit behind from us. One this way. Please, you know, our tradition, we have photos at the end of the session. Let's have it. Let's get a chair. Bring us 2 more chairs. Please, you can come. 2 more chairs. Dr. Ngong, please, can we have your seat? The major has the phone. Okay. Please, let's have all of us queue. The major has the job, just be standing. There's a rest behind. If you're tall, you stand on the stairs. Just give us